Hello and welcome to the Graveyard Media Podcast, episode 48 for the week of July 9th, 2018. I'm your host as always, Saine Grey. With me is Dalsson.
Hi,
The
that's
side.
me.
And Thel is out this week. So
I will be Thel.
You won't be
Oh
Thel.
shit, no, what have I volunteered for this time?
You fool. You've done it again.
Damn it.
Alright. So we're going to talk about the games and movies we've checked out this week, and then do some gaming and movie news of what we have, which is not much. So, who wants to start today? I can do it if you don't want to.
I can start. I actually have a decent amount of stuff to talk about, but no movies, as usual.
Okay.
We normally start with movies because we normally start with Thel. So we'll mix it up this week and we'll start with video games. So, the first video game that I want to talk about is Haimrik, actually, again. Last
You're gonna make
week
me
I
spell
said
it again. Oh God.
Haimrik.
Nrik.
Yeah.
Okay.
So last week I said, well, you know, I kind of it seems like it was really short and I got through it really fast, and I think I'm nearing the end, right? Because it was like, oh, you're going to the castle to fight the king, and I've already fought two of the bosses that it set up, and I'm like, oh, okay, so this should be close to the end, right? I played it for another like 3 hours, and there's still more shit going on, and it's kind of like delving deeper into the lore of the world and the backstory of everything. So like last week I kind of said it was like this cute little charming game. It's very gory and super metal. I don't know if I even mentioned that.
I don't think
like,
you did.
No, this game is like incredibly gory. You have a friend who is a lion that just eats people and like throws some like I think at one point somebody's face got thrown against the screen and just slid down in blood.
That's always a fun trope.
Yeah, you like slice people's faces off when you get them into like a saw or something to solve a puzzle. Like it's I really like that aspect of it because the art style is so cute, and then it just like you know, just like people's bits getting flung everywhere.
Right.
But like now that it's kind of gone into the story a little more and gotten a lot of these like really cool levels, right? So like one of the puzzle solving aspects that they introduced was playing as two separate characters. Like you have to switch between two characters who are on separate like tracks of words, and one character might be able to make plants grow with one of their words, and then the other character might need a plant to grow to open a door or to kill an enemy for you. So that was like really cool. It got like a lot more intense in the puzzle solving when they introduced that mechanic.
Right.
And then it still has like really good boss fights, you know, like you'll fight a boss in like 3 different ways. Like you'll be running from them and having to shoot back, or running around and solving, and they're all puzzle bosses except for like the running and shooting part, which is still kind of fun. I really like Haimrik. It's kind of gone from what I said last week, like a nice, cute little charming game to waste a few hours on, to like, this is really good. It's got some quality writing in it, and it's got really good puzzle solving. Like it's easy at first, and it ramps up really fast. So,
well, that's good to hear.
I like it a lot. I would say.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I'm not gonna say you were dismissive of it last week, but it seemed like you didn't have that many thoughts about it, but it seems like it's grown on you quite a bit, which is cool.
Yeah, definitely. Just playing it again. It's because I you know, like I play it for the first on Monday. I try to play a new game for the first time to have something to talk about, and you know, I only had spent like 2 hours with it, but I thought it was going to be a short little game like that, you know, but it has a lot of stuff in it. It's fully linear and stuff, honestly. Like, I mean, like, it's basically on rails. You move from one point to the next to get to the next puzzle solving area.
Right.
But it's got a decent story, and like it has these like cliche twists, like, oh no, my brother, how could you do that? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you know, like it's well written, and I like kind of the world building in it a lot. Like just there's these books of power that give you these, and it delves into how they were created and stuff. There's a lot to it, a lot more to it than it initially looks like. So if you're kind of like, if you were looking at this game, or if you've even heard of this game and you were like, oh, that seems kind of neat, but I don't really want to just drop $20 on this short little platformer that's going to be easy and I'll just blow through it. It's not, you're probably not going to blow through it. It'll be a good 6 or 7 hours of content at least, right?
Right.
I still haven't beaten it, by the way. I was going to, but my computer was acting up. I had to replace my CPU and stuff. So, but yeah, Haimrik's good. Definitely recommend. It's gone from like, oh, this is pretty cool, this might be cool to pick up, to like, I definitely recommend it. It's a good game.
Oh wow, there's a lot of games in your last 2 weeks. I was trying to pull up the time. I don't actually see it on your list.
It was last week that I played it.
Oh, okay. You put more time into it last week.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, there it is. I just didn't recognize the title. It says you put about 4 hours into it total. So
yeah,
far.
and I'm still not through. I think I might be on the last boss, but that's kind of what I said last time. So who knows?
Right.
You know.
Yeah, it can be hard to like try a game for only a few hours. That's why I don't like to try new games on Mondays and talk about them that same week, because a lot of times what ends up happening is you don't even get to play enough to really form a solid opinion of a game.
Exactly. You don't get like you don't really get the full experience.
Right.
The other game that I kind of went back to, I should say, is Dead Cells. Basically, the last time I played this game was like a year ago when we first started our channel and stuff.
Right.
So the core gameplay is all intact, right? It's still got, you know, you roll around and throw grenades and slice people to bits with your locked in animations, kind of like 2D Dark Souls type deal.
Right.
Randomly generated levels with sort of Metroidvania meta progression. It's a lot of good stuff. Like, that all just sounds great to me. You know, that's the kind of shit that I would like.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of the improvements they've made have been quality of life improvements and new unlockables and stuff, obviously, over the course of development.
Right.
But like, one of the things that they've done that's notable is, before you would get these scrolls of power and you would upgrade like strength, dexterity, intelligence, wisdom, and you were like, what the fuck do these even do? It doesn't tell you. Well, now it just tells you flat out. It gives you 3 things to choose. You can upgrade your damage with red weapons and a small health boost.
I feel like it always did that.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like. Although I think maybe before. Actually, they did break. Well, yeah, it was broken into red, green, and blue, and based on which color you picked would affect your stats and give you more damage with colors of that matches, or colored weapons that match that. I think that's always been the case.
Okay.
Or it not necessarily damage, but it would always scale something with that color of weapon.
Right.
Or item.
Well, one of the things that they've done also is split some weapons into 2 colors, and whichever one is stronger is the direction it scales. So like an ice grenade, if you are speccing into survival, will freeze longer, and if you're speccing into trickery or whatever, will do more damage.
Right.
Which is cool. And you can see that represented by like a kind of gradient on it that goes from that one color to the other. Just neat.
I think I played it. I think I played it a few weeks ago. Well, maybe more like a month and a half ago. And I think that wasn't in when I played it. So.
Oh, interesting. So they must have done that recently.
That seems pretty recent, I think. Yeah.
Another thing that is notable that they added is a system called mutations. So when you beat a level, you can take a mutation, which will, like, there are a couple of things like heal when you kill an enemy, or reduce the cooldown on your skills or grenades, deal bonus damage after killing an enemy, stuff like that. And those mutations will also scale based on the level of your stats. So like, there's health, there's survival and fight and trick mutations that scale up based on your thing. So you can kind of a little extra build on your character like that too. So it's like, do I want my sword to deal more damage? Well, yes, but I also want to restore more health when I kill an enemy, and that's not in the sword damage tree. That's in the shield use tree or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So there's it kind of adds an extra layer of decision making, which I really like.
Yeah, and I think it's given to you on random, right? So
what do you mean?
Like when you have to put points into it, right? Isn't what your choice is random?
I have not found any random scrolls anymore. Wait, when you have to put points into mutations or like your level up?
Your level up thing.
I haven't found any random scrolls anymore. I have found the scrolls of power, which give you a choice of all three, and then I have found scrolls that give you a choice between two, but I haven't found any scrolls that just give you one.
Yeah, I guess it's been a while since I've played it because how I think I remember it working is the actual amount that it would give you varied. So like sometimes it would give you 3 to green, and sometimes it would give you like 2 to red.
Oh,
but I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering that.
That might be something, because I know that I've seen the damage and health values go up at random amounts before when I was picking up a scroll of the 3 choices, but I assumed that it just got less effective as you leveled it up. So that I thought that's what maybe might have been going on, but
I'm not entirely sure how that works then, yeah.
So yeah, Dead Cells is also really fun. Like it's super action oriented though. Like until you get to the end of a level, you don't really have time to stop and think at all.
I don't think so.
I don't know, or you kind of don't.
Anytime that no enemies aren't around, you can kind of stop.
Yeah, I guess, but you also like it's hard because you don't want to, because there are those like time gate doors that will just give you a ton more cells. So you're like, I want to do this as fast as I can so that I can get that time gate door in the next level.
I almost always never get the time gate doors.
Yeah.
So I don't even try for them, honestly, because unless I'm trying to do a fast run so that I can get to a time gate door, I really just take my time, because
right.
And I also am the kind of person who likes to explore everything.
Yeah.
So I don't really unless I'm trying to go for a time gate door, I don't really rush through it, and I make sure I've seen everything before I move on.
Yeah,
that's just kind of my roguelike philosophy.
Kind of works out better. I think that the time gate doors are actually there to like give you to like catch you up if you're trying to speedrun, right?
Right.
Because like it'll give you a strong weapon and a scroll to upgrade your thing, a bunch of money, and some cells. Because you get cells for killing. The cells are like the meta progression thing. And you get cells for killing enemies, but if you're not killing all the enemies and you're trying to rush through, it might be worth it to get the time. It'd be worth it to get the time gate door, because you get a bunch of cells back after that.
I think it's probably just another risk reward thing.
Yeah.
It's like you have to kind of choose how you want to deal with it.
Exactly. Yeah, those are my thoughts on Dead Cells though. It's still good. It's still really fun to play, and I still can't get past the second level after a year. So
which one's the second one?
Either of them, the toxic sewers or the like towers of fuck you.
Oh, I don't think I've gotten past either of those either, but I haven't really sunk that much time into it. I think I've played slightly longer than you in total, but not by much.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to talk about before we move on?
There was one last one, which was Pokemon Quest.
Oh yeah.
Which came out just recently for the iPhone and Android. I don't really know how I feel about this game, because I only played it for like an hour maybe.
Right.
So it's kind of nifty, right? That you can like put ingredients into a pot and lure new Pokemon, and like you can go around, and the combat kind of just does it for you, and then you can use little power-up things to like use your moves to do it. And you kind of have to choose what move you use in order to deal with, like, if there's a wide swing of enemies, you want to use your wide swing move or whatever. But it's, it's super simple. It's a phone game, you've got your energy and your little cook some food to draw.
Where did you play it? What did you play it on?
What?
What did you play it on? Did you play it on the Switch or the phone?
I played it on the phone. Is it different on the Switch?
No, it's not different on the Switch. That's kind of the problem.
Oh,
I played it on the Switch because it wasn't out on Android immediately. It was out on iPhone earlier, I think, but
okay.
Yeah, I played it a little bit, but I found it incredibly boring, especially if you're playing it on console.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually falling asleep while playing it. Granted, I had been up for like 18 hours or something, so I was tired already. But I don't know, like it was really rough to kind of sit through, because basically what you do is you sit there and watch your Pokemon team kind of run through an area, and then you have to sometimes activate abilities, and that's the game.
Yeah, that's the whole game. So it's not super engaging.
Yeah.
But also, like, I didn't even realize it was on the Switch. Like, that doesn't even make sense to be a game that's on a console to me. Like,
well,
they had Fallout Shelter for the phone, and then they released it on like PC and stuff. Like, that makes more sense to me.
I think the only reason it's, well, if you think about it, well, there's actually a lot of phone games on the Switch anyway.
Really?
Yeah, because they want to take advantage of the tablet. So there's lots of like rhythm games on, because I don't remember what I was doing, but like for a week I was super into like rhythm games. So I downloaded like 10 different ones on my phone. So I tried a bunch of different rhythm games, and then like maybe a month later I was going through the Switch catalog, and I was like, oh shit, like all these games that I played like last month are suddenly just came out on this game or on the Switch.
That's funny.
But yeah, so I think kind of a lot of mobile games are making its way to Switch anyway. But I think the reason why Pokemon Quest came over is because it's a free-to-play Pokemon game, and every Nintendo console kind of wants one. Right. I would have preferred something like Rumble or something, Pokemon Rumble, because that's more fun. But I can see.
Well, Pokemon Rumble is like actually engaging. Like you have to like actually control something. You know?
I just feel like for them, they want a Pokemon something on the console, and since they're making it for phones anyway, it's kind of a no-brainer to put it on Switch anyway. So it's like, I don't think it makes a very good game, but hell, it's free, right?
Yeah, so, exactly.
Either you like it or you don't, and you didn't waste money on it. So, and
it's cute too. Like I think the little blocky bits are kind of cute. But...
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It's all right. I don't mind the art style. I can see myself
playing it every once in a while.
Man, you want to talk about Nintendo mobile games that I spend way too much time on?
Fire Emblem.
I just the other day I sat down because I wanted to play some Quantum Break, because I've been playing a bunch of that lately. And I was like, okay, but first let me get through this thing on my phone. And then I played it for something like 4 hours. I was sitting in front of my desk with my computer on, playing the phone game. Hours later, I was like, shit, now I don't have time to do anything. So after sitting there in front of my computer for hours, I think in the end I just shut down my computer and went to bed.
That sucks.
I really like that Fire Emblem mobile game. Just yesterday, I raised a character who was like a 3-star character. I first brought the 3-star character to 20, upgraded her to a 2-star character, got her to the level cap, and then upgraded her to a 1-star character, and then brought her to the level cap again. So like that was just yesterday.
Jesus.
So I spent probably way too much time on that. I built another team that is a specific element team, so that I could bring it through the Blessed Gardens, which is like a there's these things called blessings, and I gave a team a fire blessing so they could go through the fire blessing maps,
right,
because those all give good good rewards and stuff. But
right,
I've just been playing it like crazy. I can't help it.
How do the blessings work? Wouldn't you want to use a blessing that is strong against fire units instead?
No, what it is so the blessings don't really do much. What they do is, if you have a legendary hero on your team, then anyone with matching blessings gives you bonuses. So if you have an Ike on your team, a legendary Ike, then he'll give everyone like +4 health and +2 damage or something.
Okay. Which is a lot in Fire Emblem.
Right. for Fire Emblem Heroes anyway. I don't know.
Right.
So like that's one use of the blessings, but the other use is if you have a full team of people who are blessed with one color, you can take them to those specific blessing maps. It's not like you need something strong against fire. It's like you can only go in the door if you have fire, like a fire team.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Man, that game got really in depth since I played it with the day it released, and never again.
I would suggest maybe looking at it again. It's not. I think your issue with it, from what I recall you talking about, is you got really annoyed that people kind of reset their games over and over again until they got a good set, and then just kept going from there. But I'm like so far past the point of where that would even help, because that only helps basically your first roll of characters. And actually they've raised the orb count, so you can't do that anymore anyway.
Right.
But you know, I haven't spent any money on it, but I have plenty of characters that are like 1-star characters that
just to decimate things.
Yeah, as long as you're smart about how you use the orbs that you get, you're fine. It's one of those games where if you log on every day, there's a good chance you'll get a free orb every day of logging on. And then, you know, there's the story missions, which if you do all the story missions, they give you orbs.
The orbs being like the gachapon pulls, right?
Yeah, the currency for pulling. It's 5 for the first pull.
Okay, so the orbs are like the free-to-play currency mode.
They're not the free-to-play currency. They are the currency.
The currency that you could also buy. Yeah,
they're the summoning currency. Actually, like, the game has a lot of currencies, but it's smart about how they do it, because it's not like you only can pay for one currency, and the currency that you pay for is the most important currency. Everything else is stuff that you earn, and it has a specific use. Right. So
can you spend the paid currency in order to
get other currencies?
Get other currencies?
I think you can. I think you can spend currency on a couple things. One of the things you can spend the currency on is stamina pots, which are like which give you more energy and stuff. But most of the currencies that matter, you can't. Feathers, you can't. Which are probably the most important currencies behind the orbs, because feathers is what you use to upgrade a unit from 1-star to another.
I see.
And it takes a lot of feathers to do anything. But there's also there's a currency for special upgrades for weapons. There's currencies that you can use to level up characters if you don't want to actually grind it out, but I never use them. I have a ton of those currency, and I never use them. So anyway, I'm really invested in Fire Emblem Heroes still.
Good. I'm glad you found a phone game that you enjoy.
It's literally the only phone game I played or have ever put in even half the amount of time into it. I like it because it's actually a strategy game. At first, it might look dumbed down compared to something like Fire Emblem, and it is in some extents, but it's kind of a different game because it's more about specific units and upgrading and customizing specific units and then putting them on a team, rather than, you know, having groups of armies that kind of do different things. I don't know. I haven't played enough of actual Fire Emblems to really compare it that closely, but I think that it is pretty different.
From what I played, it like long time ago. It was definitely just a dumbed down version of Fire Emblem where you didn't even have to think about it. But
I think it's that. I think it's that on face value, because when you first start the game and some of the early stuff, it really is just make sure you have color advantage and then hit them more, right?
Yeah.
But as you go on, there's different units that kind of do different things, and there's a lot of customization in the seals. And what you kind of have to do in order to upgrade characters is you have to sacrifice other characters to give certain characters abilities. Then you have to upgrade those characters so that you can have enough of the points to unlock those abilities for that character, and then you slot stuff, and then it's comes down to a combination of how you slot a specific character and how the character's abilities interact with other characters on your team. So,
Mm-hmm.
and there are definitely like the game. You know what I like most about the game? I think it's a game that has a PvP element to it. So it has a meta to it, but because you don't fight other people, you always only fight the computer.
Right.
It has a meta, but you don't ever interact with real people.
Oh, good.
So that's what I like about it. Like it has this meta strategy layer about what characters you want to take into the arena and what you want to, how you want to deal with that.
Is it like a healthy meta, like you want to build this particular combination of types of units, or is it like a shitty meta where you use Ike and Lucina and they win?
There are a decently large number of strategies.
Okay.
You can have a full flyer team that all have like bonuses specifically to flyers. You might want to take a very mixed team because some of the characters you have work better in mixed teams. Like Ike, for instance, works way better in a mixed team because he's not strong enough to kill everyone on his own. But
right.
how that doesn't mean that there isn't a like character tier list. There are characters that are just straight up better than others,
and that's by nature of one of those gacha type phone games,
right? So. Well, and it's not specific. Actually, the interesting thing about the gacha thing is it's almost counterintuitive how it works, because some of the best characters in the games are some of the lower tier characters, and the reason why is because you can sacrifice characters to power up specific characters, which means the more available a character is, the more you can do that, which makes some lower tier characters way more powerful than they would.
Meaning like you can upgrade, like if you sacrifice the same character to it
right.
powers it
One
up.
of the best characters in the game is a character that's available at 3 or 4 stars. So
wow.
But however, there are things like the strongest unit type in the game is dragons. And the way that you make the dragons like as powerful as they can be is you have to sacrifice a 5-star character for it to give them an ability called Steady Breath. But once the dragon has Steady Breath, their dragons are fucking crazy.
Right.
So there are characters that like are very clearly the best in their tier. And so there's like a tier 1, and then there's a tier 1 star, which like is kind of an honorable mention for being even better than most of the 1-tier characters, but not so much better that they need to make a new tier for it or anything.
Right.
So
not like Mega Rayquaza, where they literally invented a new tier of Pokemon to ban from banned tier.
Yeah. And because it's not a game that has tournaments or anything, so it doesn't.
Right. Yeah.
There's no banning.
It doesn't really matter.
Right. And a lot of characters you can kind of get around by, like because dragons are so popular, you can build characters that have specific anti-dragon weapons. You can build teams that are are more physical based and have high resistance. So like there's ways to get around it if you think.
That used to be my whole strategy in Pokemon before Fairy type came out, was just make everything good against dragons, because that's all people are going to use.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's not quite that bad, but you see a lot of dragon teams. You see a lot of teams that are all cavalry units, which can move faster than a lot of other characters. So there's a lot of different, because they have enough different kinds of units. It kind of works out.
That's cool. So it's like a mini. It's just like a mini true Fire Emblem kind of, or like an Advanced Wars for your phone. I think they had an Advanced Wars game too. It was really cool.
Yeah, I think the only real difference is it's faster. You can play a match in like 5 minutes,
right,
or less. So
yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and the game has a lot of outside of the arena stuff. The game also has a lot of like PvE kind of stuff, where you're doing like specific like events and stuff. So it's not all just the arena mode. And actually, I play the arena mode probably the least out of all of it. But
oh yeah, I should start playing it and then just test myself against your team so that
I don't think you can do that.
Oh, that sucks. You can't fight a particular person.
I don't think so.
Oh, wow.
And like. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, That's been Pokemon Quest. Play Fire Emblem instead is our takeaway.
Yeah, in response to Pokemon Quest, just get Fire Emblem Heroes. I haven't even played it, and I can probably safely say that, even though Pokemon's my favorite shit.
Yeah.
It's not great. Waste some time, maybe, if you want.
Yeah, I don't know. If you're really into Pokemon, it's kind of cute, and
yeah, exactly.
It's probably aimed for children, which is why.
Yeah.
So
I heard that it got harder, like. So I don't know, but
harder later on. I'm not surprised, but it's
that about everything. So
I don't like games where you don't control their movement and all you do is tap to use an ability. Those games aren't fun to me.
Yeah.
There's a whole genre of it on phone, and I've played a couple of different ones on there, and I don't like any game like that. So. Anyway, moving on. So I'll talk about some games I've played. Why don't we move on to Celeste?
Sure.
So this is a game that I've kind of had my eye on for a long time, but I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, so I didn't... What the hell is that?
Uh-oh. I heard it.
Is it suddenly raining?
Saine's getting his house broken.
Okay, so suddenly... No, there's like a... suddenly a thunderstorm outside.
Top 10 scary things that happen to Twitch streamers.
Which is funny because, like, I think I checked an hour ago and it was like bone dry and hot outside, but now it's like pouring outside, like actually pouring rain outside and super.
Can I have some of that, please?
It's a good thing I brought my dogs in.
Yeah.
Anyway, Celeste. So I didn't want to pick this game up because, or right away because I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it. Because I have a really mixed feelings about like platformers, especially brutally hard ones. But this game kind of taught me something about myself. This and Cuphead taught me something about myself. I am very not easily frustrated in video games. Not by like difficult games. I'm more frustrated by like PvE or PvP stuff. Like,
other people. I'm like this asshole. As opposed
to...
Yeah.
I'm more annoyed by dealing with actual other people, which is why I get frustrated with, games like Overwatch.
I get frustrated more easily than you do for sure, but like I'm usually pretty okay with single player games because I can just take a break instead of having to go like I have to beat this guy now,
Yeah, but even with Cuphead, you kind of fell off of it because you were getting frustrated.
Cuphead, I think, was the first game where I like straight up quit because I was frustrated by it in a long time.
Whereas Cuphead, I kind of just something else came up and I wasn't so into it that I went back to it. Right. But Celeste, very similar to Super Meat Boy, which I've not actually played Super Meat Boy because, like I said, it was never a game that I thought I would like. Plus, I didn't like the aesthetic of Super Meat Boy, so I kind of like skipped it. Right. Celeste feels like a spiritual successor to Super Meat Boy in a lot of ways, because it kind of does it has a lot of very similar movement scheme, but oh my god, it is pouring outside. It's just really distracting because it's like
you can hear it through your headphones and shit.
Yeah, I can hear it through my headphones, like dropping on my roof.
Jeez.
It'll probably come up in the podcast if it's that loud.
Yeah, it's not coming up over Discord, but.
But anyway, so Celeste, it's one of those games where you'll die and then it'll immediately start you back at the start of the room. So you kind of go through the rooms. I expected, to have challenging gameplay and some interesting like puzzles and stuff. So I expected that. What I didn't expect was to like the story as much as I do.
Really?
Story is really interesting. So on its face, it's about this girl who's trying to climb a mountain, and it heavily alludes, it basically directly tells you that this character has like anxiety issues, and part of the reason why she's trying to climb the mountain is because she always is saying to herself that saying on the inside that she can't do things, that she can't succeed at anything. So what she's doing is she's physically climbing this mountain so that she can prove to herself that she can accomplish her goals or whatever. The problem is the mountain's fucking weird. So there's a lot of supernatural elements to it, as well as things that might be either dreams or hallucinations or actually what is happening on the mountain, and it's very hard to tell in places. There's one sequence which is like my favorite sequence of the game so far. I've played for about 3 hours, and I've gotten to like the 4th stage, I think, of the A sides, right? Because there's also B sides, and I think there might be C sides, but I'm not sure. Which are like even harder versions of those maps. Right. And so I haven't gone into it a ton, but my favorite section was the section where you get to this point and you find this monument, and then your character's like, oh, I'm tired now, so I'm gonna sleep by the fire. You wake up and everything's like all fucked up, like the background's all weird, and you go back up to the monument and all the words are jarbled and like don't make sense. And you play through it, and eventually you get to a mirror that cracks and shows like your evil self, and then your evil self starts chasing you and attacking you.
Dark Celeste.
Essentially, yeah. Oh well, the main character's name is Madeline, so it's Dark Madeline, but and you can rename your character so it can be Dark whatever you want it to be.
Dark Metroid.
Yeah, you can play as Metroid and run from Dark Metroid, yeah. So anyway, you get through the sequence and then you wake up and, you've gotten away from it and you were actually still by the fire the whole time. Except that character shows up later while you're awake. But it's unclear about whether or not it's really there or if it's in your head. And then also there's the third stage is like the whole time you're running around with a ghost character who's like literally a ghost. The character doesn't know he's a ghost, but you know he's a ghost, or at least it has one of those qualities about it where the main character is unreliable, so you're not sure, because you assume that everything you're seeing is through your character's perspective. So you're not sure about if anything is what it actually is, because you were warned that the mountain was so supernatural in the first place, but you're not sure how much of it is the mountain being weird and how much of it is Madeline hallucinating or having issues with anxiety and like perceiving it that way, you know what I mean? So it's super interesting. Like the probably the thing that's going to bring me back to it is the story more than anything else. That being said, the game has some really awesome tight controls. Like, everything feels very responsive. Everything is very heavy. Momentum makes a lot of sense, and how you deal with momentum is really good. A lot of it is manipulating when to dash, when to land, and they constantly are introducing new elements that you kind of have, or like gimmicks for each level that you have to take advantage of or deal with or learn about. And as you go on, you learn more tricks about how to move, even. So, really super cool things. I highly recommend it. I know that kind of everyone did when it came out, but I think it's really worth it. You said something about the strawberries being like a thing for you, and how you were worried about like not getting all the strawberries and wanting to go back or spending a lot of time on the strawberries. And I did that too, where I played one section for like an hour or something trying to get this one strawberry. But there were other strawberries where I was just like, I don't know how to get this one yet, so I'm just gonna leave. And there's ones that are like obviously in hidden areas that you might not know about, so like, or you might go you might go past a huge section of the level, because it has branching paths, but there's places where if you go one way you can't go back. So if you go the wrong way the first time, you're like, oh shit, now I can't go to that other direction. So like I wouldn't worry about missing all the strawberries, because unless you're going for specifically going for the strawberries, you're gonna miss some of them anyway, probably.
Right.
So I wouldn't worry too much about that for your like OCD. It's not. I don't know. The game tracks how many times you die, but it doesn't tell you until the end. So I got to the end of one, and it was like, probably my least favorite level out of the ones I had played so far, but it was fine. I think I had died like 200 times.
Jesus.
And I was like, yeah, that makes sense, because I did redo that one section for an hour. So, you know. Celeste is really a top tier game. I think it might be in my top 10 this year. Like,
Nice.
I'm gonna put more time into it, but I really love it. After I played about 3 hours of Celeste, I set it down because I was like, okay, this is all I can handle of this game right now.
Right.
And I picked up Hollow Knight for about 20 minutes. And the reason why the only reason I played it for 20 minutes is because you started playing Warframe, and I was like, oh shit.
I think Thel and I were working on the Dungeons and Dragons session for this week, but then he was going to be out, so we were working on it, and oh shit, sorry, spoilers, we're both DMing this one.
Okay, that's fine.
We were working on that, and we saw you pick up Hollow Knight, and we were like, hey! And then, like, you started playing a different game like 20 minutes later. We were both like, oh.
Well, I wouldn't have played a different game 20 minutes later had you not launched Warframe.
I see.
Yeah, because we have
is that what it was?
We have it through family sharing, and if you launch a game, I can't play that game for like more than 5 minutes. So actually, I was in the middle of a section I'd never been to before, and I was like, oh shit, I need to find a bench. And suddenly I was running around, but I was lost. So I kept on finding harder and harder enemies. And eventually I just died, and I was like, well, I found the bench.
Yeah.
So I saved and shut off, because I wasn't able to play it for more than 20 minutes. I wasn't able to play it for any longer because it was through family sharing. So
right, I totally spaced on it too.
Yeah. So thanks for that.
Sorry.
But if you want my 20-minute, I'll put it in the thing. Hollow Knight. If you want my 20-minute opinion of Hollow Knight, it is not a game that you should play immediately after playing Celeste.
Why?
Because it's a side-scrolling like platforming game.
Mm-hmm.
If you play it right after playing a different side-scrolling platform game, then suddenly the controls feel a lot different.
Right.
So, like I was saying about Celeste, Celeste is a game where you feel very heavy. Like, you get used to the physics being like falling fast and landing hard and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Hollow Knight is not that way. Hollow Knight is a game where the longer you hold jump, the higher you go, and you go really high in that game.
Yeah. A lot of the later content in Hollow Knight is kind of about air combat and like bouncing off things like in Shovel Knight.
Yeah, bouncing off of things and using the double jump and then resetting the double jump and stuff like that. I'm aware of that, but it's just like after coming from Celeste, it's not worse or bad in any way. That's not what I'm saying. And really, it's a different kind of game anyway. It's a Metroidvania rather than a my screen is flashing.
Your stream.
Yeah, yours is too. That's weird.
I wonder if it's Discord. Yeah.
Yeah, Discord's having weird issues.
Discord always does that.
Well, not always, but anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, after coming from a different game, the physics feel completely different, and I felt really floaty, which is not a good feeling. Especially since there's a lot of well, I mean, I guess there's plenty of air movement in Celeste too, but because you fall slower in Hollow Knight, you have a lot more like distinct control of where you land, which is like feels really weird after coming from a different game. Because
like in Celeste, you kind of have to, you would kind of have to like aim your jump before you started instead of after, right?
Yeah, or know exactly where you're trying to go at the very least, because because you fall so much faster in Celeste, you have to know what you're trying to do before you do it, because you have some degree of air control in Celeste, but not enough to completely change direction.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. I need to put more time into Hollow Knight, because like I said, it was 20 minutes, so I really don't know that much. I just kind of wanted to get some feel for it before I decided to pick it up on the Switch, because I was considering picking it up on the Switch, but it's like $20 there, 20 to $30 on the Switch, and I'm like, you know, I have access to it on Steam. I should try it, at least try it on Steam before I pick it up on Switch, in case I actually just don't like it. And I need to put more time into it to really get a feeling about it, but it's fine so far.
Yeah.
It's really easy to get lost.
Yeah, that's kind of why I dropped off on it. I got so lost. Not because I couldn't remember the maps, but because, like, I could backtrack easily, but, like, it's like, I don't know where to go. It's like, I've been wandering down this path for 20 minutes, but here's a dead end, and I don't have the right Metroidvania power-up to get past it, so.
My problem was that I didn't get to that point. It was just that because I got the map after I, like, had gone for a while, I didn't know where I was in relation to the map when I got the map. So... Plus, I think the map that I got wasn't even for the section I was in, necessarily.
Yeah. There's a charm that will show yourself on the map, I believe.
I know, yeah, and it's the compass, and it's like 1,000 coins or whatever. So I have to get, or souls. I don't even know what they call it, but
yeah, I don't know.
I think they call it souls because you lose them when you die, just like in Dark Souls. But
I don't know.
I think they're called souls, but they look like coins. They don't look like.
I don't think they're called souls. I think your soul is your magic meter. Thel would be able to tell us, but
yeah,
he's not here.
So yeah, Hollow Knight's okay. I need to put more time into it, but I first impression, I don't think I like it as much as Thel does. So, you know.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I played 3 hours of Prey as well, but I'm a chicken, so I'm having a lot of trouble playing that game. And I'm progressing very slowly in it, and I don't.
Oh, you're a chicken.
And I don't like to go back to it because I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna go and have to play that scary game, and it's like, when I'm playing it, it's kind of dumb because it's like I'm more scared of the anticipation of being afraid than I am afraid when scary stuff happens. So it's like I'm walking through the room and I'm like paranoid. I'm like, oh, any of these things could be a mimic. But then when one pops out, I'm like, wrench. So it's like, I don't know, I'm not, it's kind of a funny thing because I'm not actually afraid of anything, but I'm afraid of being afraid of it.
Yeah. No, I get you. That's one of the good things about it. Like, I think it, like, not, yeah. I haven't played Prey specifically, but that's one of the good things. Like, I like it when games prey on that particular aspect because it makes it feel really like it gives you this tension that's what horror and scary stuff should be about, tension, but not building like fake tension with like a ramping up violin music. That's shitty. I want like real tension. Like I want to be scared. I want to be ready to be scared at every moment. And then when it pays off, it pays off.
Well, it does do stuff like that too a little bit. Yeah. By the way, if suddenly my power goes out, which I think it might, because my lights just flickered, I'm not going to come back. So if the stream suddenly ends, that's it for this week.
Okay.
Just FYI.
All right.
Yeah, I like Prey. I need to put more time into it. The story's pretty interesting. But like I said, it's a lot of... It's kind of a Metroidvania too, in that you have to like get stuff so that you can get through areas, and it's very survival horror-esque in that you need... like, you have limited ammo resources and stuff, so... I don't know. It's really interesting. I like it. But it's scary, and I need to put more time into it. A game that is decidedly less scary is Quantum Break. I've put in 7.7 hours, so almost 8 hours into it, just in like 2 days, which is a little impressive for me, actually. I'm usually not able to play.
The only games that I can put that amount of time into in 2 days is Warframe and Path of Exile.
Right. Granted, an hour and a half of that was watching a literal TV show.
What the fuck?
Yeah. I remember I forgot about this being a thing in Quantum Break, but like when it happened, I was like, oh, that's right. That's a thing about this game. So
it was a TV show game too.
So
Like one of those
The game
simultaneous
is a story narrative game, right? So you have it's also a combat game. There's combat in it, but it's one of those games. It's like you go through the thing and you have to follow people talking to you, and stuff is happening, and then cutscenes happen, right? But when you get to ends of acts, it cuts to a TV. They call it a TV show. Like the in-game references to it are the TV show. The game has Quantum Break in white text, and the show has Quantum Break in yellow text. Just if you see it, you know exactly what you're getting into. But it's like a half an hour show every act or so that follows different characters that are also interacting with the main characters. So it's like.
So is it a TV? Is it like also, was it on television?
It was not on television. No, it's part of the game, and things you do in the game affect which parts of the thing it has, and effects of the show. So one thing, like both major and minor things, like there's major things in that, like there's one choice: are you going to talk to this person or are you going to talk to this person? Based on what you do when you're actually watching the show, it shows you talking to the person you chose, which means there's two scenes for each like choice, more or less.
Right.
One of the first choices in the game is like, is this character going to die, or are they going to save it, or is she going to be saved but all this bad stuff happens? And then like if you choose that, then that character may or may not show up in the rest of the game, both in the game part of the game and the TV part of the game.
Jeez.
And then like there's little things, like there was the scene in one of them was, I was going through this place in the actual game, and after combat, someone had left a tablet on the table next to like a walkie. So your main character, because he's he's not like a douchebag, but he's kind of like a jokester kind of guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, he has the radio for the like enemy guys, the Monarch paramilitary organization. So he finds the walkie next to this tablet, and he's like, I'm just gonna do this. He starts playing an audiobook on the tablet, and then activates the walkie-talkie. So now all of the characters are walking around wondering why there's an audiobook on the special paramilitary like important channel. There's just this audiobook playing. And during the TV show part, one of the character walks in and is like, what the hell is that? And he's like, I don't know, it's just been going for like an hour and we haven't been able to find it. So and that's just like a small scene that you can tell that they inserted into, either they inserted it into like between two scenes, or they kind of replaced one scene with another so that this thing happens. But if you just walked past that tablet and didn't activate it, that scene wouldn't have showed up.
That's cool.
So there's a lot of little stuff that they do, and that makes me wonder. It's like, okay, for that one scene where you were talking to one character versus another character, does it just chunk out that one specific scene and slot in a different one, or what?
Yeah.
The game, so it's kind of a narrative choice game, but rather than having a lot of choices that don't do anything, they only have a very few specific choices. Like I think there's one per act that you get that will drastically change it. So they kind of, you're in that situation where it's like your choices do matter, but the choices are also kind of limited.
Right.
And then the way they kind of like narratively set that up is this character essentially can see the future. He essentially has clairvoyance. So he'll sit at this moment and he can see in two paths which way things will go. But when you go that way, you have to you have to commit to it. So you either commit to one action or you commit to the other action.
Right.
And it like whichever you do, you have to actually commit to it. So it's like it'll change it, and it actually changes things. So they kind of do that thing where your choices matter, but there's only like 6 choices or something. I'm not sure how long the game is, but I've seen 3 so far. And because it is a game all about time and time manipulation, of course, one of the big themes is time travel. which is always fun and is always confusing and is always like interesting. I'm not one of those people who are easily confused by time travel, stuff. I know a lot of people have trouble with that, but for me, that I can wrap my head around that easily. Like that's not something that confuses me that often. And it actually makes me like think about things like, speculate about what's going to happen.
Right.
And the way that this game focuses on time travel it is very heavily about a closed loop theory, which is that everything that you go back and try to change was part of history already. Like everything that happened or will happen, or any time travel that influences it, already happened. It's already happening. So if, for instance, you go back and you like try to stop something, your actions will be what caused that action. And if you don't go back and try to change it, then your inaction is what caused that to happen. So it's like either way, like no matter what you do, things are just kind of happening. That doesn't mean you don't have any control over what's happening, because you can manipulate things. But what it means is your actions are what led to actions. I don't know if they've done like a bootstrap paradox yet, which is like a bootstrap's paradox is when there is an object or an item that isn't accounted for. Like you don't know the origin of it because the only place it ever came from was someone giving it to someone else. And then that thing just appeared out of nowhere because someone gave it to someone.
And then the person who gives it to that person gets it later and goes back and gives it to the other person. So
that's a bootstrap paradox. I don't think they're going to do a bootstrap paradox because of how much emphasis they've put onto it being a closed loop and all the actions being very like cause and effect of other actions. So and then they talk about certain actions being points in time that are unchanging, like unable to be changed. They actually talk about September 11th with the Twin Towers, right? So there's one character who travels through time and gives herself a notebook, and then the younger version of that character tries to stop September 11th but fails. And then when the character goes back in time the first time, or like experiences that time frame the first time, also again attempts to stop September 11th, but so both times she fails. And it's not like she caused it to happen, she just couldn't change it, because there are points in time that are anchored so heavily that are unchangeable, apparently.
Doctor Who does that too.
Yeah, and I was actually thinking
about
I was actually thinking about Doctor Who, because Doctor Who has specific moments that are like anchors of time, right?
Yeah. There was a whole episode about I don't even remember what doctor it was, but the doctor and one of his companions were trying to. He was like, "No, this cannot be changed. This is a point in time that cannot be changed." And it was Pompeii, the destruction of Pompeii, and they were he made friends with some people in Pompeii or something, and he was like, you know what? I'm a fucking Time Lord. I can change it if I want to, and then he can't change it. Right. So like they explore that a lot in Doctor Who too, and it was.
Yeah. And I don't know do you know if Doctor Who does the timelines thing or the closed loop thing?
It does a timelines thing kind of. Essentially what he, like, the way he explains it is basically anybody who doesn't, like, if they go back and they change something, right? Like, that's just how it is and always was, period.
Right.
Except for them, because they were the ones who went back and changed it.
Right.
So like nobody else perceives the difference, but instead of them jumping through timelines, it's just that's the timeline now. Like, that's how it is.
But they can change it. It just changes the course of that timeline.
Exactly,
so there's just one timeline, but anything they do changes the course of that timeline. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it's really funny to watch. It's really interesting to see different theories about time travel, because all of them seem as likely as the other. You know what I mean? And you know, the kind of the time travel philosophy that they sort of ascribe to in Quantum Break is very much like you can't go back in time past the point the first time the time machine was activated, because the time machine didn't exist, and you need the time machine to go back in time.
Oh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, so it's very like, I don't know if any of it's like actually sciencey or anything, but it is very much they have very clear rules, and they talk about the very clear rules. So
Doctor Who has very strict rules that they just break all the time with science bullshit, like you cannot create a paradox. That is something that is impossible. And then 2 seasons later they create a paradox, and instead of it being impossible, he's like, oh my god, you've created a paradox. Now the TARDIS is tearing itself apart. And we have to stop that instead of just it being impossible to create a paradox. So like the rules in that are really loose. So Quantum Break sounds really interesting to like right. They have a strict set of rules.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking I would talk about this game as much as I have this podcast, because it is an older game, but I like it a lot.
Good.
I like it a lot more than I thought I would. And the reason why I picked it up was because well, it was on sale and I had been wanting it, but also Remedy, the same developer, showed off that weird game with the gun that was like forming and reforming the whole time.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, well, I might as well go back and play Quantum Break to kind of get me in the mindset when this other game comes out. And I'm really glad I did, because I actually really like it. Other than it's like, sometimes it's like, okay, we got to the part where I have to watch a TV show for half an hour. I guess I'll go grab a drink and something to eat while I watch this for half an hour.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's kind of like iffy, but you know. It was only bad for the first time it happened, because the first time it happened, it was like, I still want to play.
Yeah, but then later on you were like, oh, cool, this is another segment that I've changed.
So I got used to it, yeah. As for the gameplay side of it, gunplay is kind of meh to like, it's okay. There's a lot of recoil on all the weapons, which, you know, it is what it is, but at least they give you the option to have like burst weapons, so you I don't know. Yeah. So there's a decent variety of weapons. The most fun thing is like the time powers that you get. So you can like create like a black hole that like throws people all over the place.
Nice.
You can do like slow time for everyone else, and you move at normal speed, so you can like kind of run past people at super speed while they're like slowly trying to turn towards you. You can do a time dash, which you just like, it's like a sprint, like a quick sprint. Although that they reference normal time, and it just shows you quickly move rather than it being from your perspective and everything slowing. Instead, you just jump real fast.
Right.
And they have like, you have a bubble shield, which will cause bullets hitting it to basically bounce off and stop and like slow. It's like a slow field. You can also slow other people and then like pump a bunch of bullets into that, and then it explodes like a grenade. So there's the time powers are really fun, and they have been doing a good job of continually giving you new powers as you go on. So that's cool.
That's nice.
Yeah, I really like Quantum Break. It's pretty good.
Right.
So we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, I'll talk about Ant-Man.
Okay.
And then after that, we'll do news, and that'll be fine since we're kind of light on news anyway.
Okay. Can we do a 15-minute break, try and maybe troubleshoot some of this weird stuff that's happening?
I don't want to do a long break, because if we do a long break, there might be a chance that my power will go out while I'm gone. I want to just kind of get through it real fast.
Gotcha.
I'll try to troubleshoot it as best I can, but I don't know that I will be able to do anything, so.
Okay. Then we come back at 5:15, 7 minutes, 8 minutes.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, be back in a bit. Okay, we decided rather than taking the whole break, we're just going to end it early because we're having technical issues, and I'm afraid my power will go out at any minute. So we're just going to do a quick outro. I don't know if Thel has a video coming out this week. Do you?
I don't.
No idea?
He did
Okay.
release one on the Love Guru, which is funny because he used Habanera from Carmen in it, and I was laughing when he was previewing the video to me, and I was like, you were gonna get copyright claimed by Carmen herself, and he was like, haha, yeah, okay, it's classical, it should be fine, and there's a copyright strike on that video for Carmen.
Somehow I'm not surprised.
It's really funny. It's like really funny because that's a specific thing I made a joke about.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that one's kind of tied up in all sorts of stuff.
Probably, yeah.
What else? I think that's it. Yeah. Sorry we didn't get to news this week. We'll take everything we were going to talk about and just talk about it next week because there really wasn't a lot.
There's not
to talk about anyway.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about Ant-Man next week because Thel will be here and he'll have seen it, and maybe Dalsson will have seen it too.
Yeah.
So with that, we're gonna head out. Remember, as always,
stay beautiful.